quite surreal.
Hi, I'm going to talk about my 7-day trip to North Korea for the Victory Day celebration. That's a significant day in July for North Korean people. One of the main reasons I went to North Korea was because I wanted to see beyond Western media. As a humanitarian, I wanted to see the living conditions of the people in North Korea. I wanted to see if they truly supported the dictatorship of Kim Jong-un. I'm not going to say whether I think everything on the trip was staged or not. I'll leave that up to you as the audience to form your own opinion. I know that some people are very critical of tourists visiting North Korea. The money provided from the tourist industry would realistically provide no viable economic income for the dictatorship. That emotional human connection is an extremely rare and valuable asset for the future progression of peace in the Korean Peninsula. So please follow along with my journey in this video, and all I ask of you is that you keep an open mind. Thank you. It was actually really difficult getting into North Korea. Our Japanese airline wouldn't allow us to fly because we didn't have the right transition visa to get from China to Pyongyang. So we had to buy new tickets in the airport, which was really expensive. As you can see here, this was Koryo Airlines, the North Korean plane, and during the flight, the mask kept falling out of the overhead, and some strange man came from the cockpit and wedged the mask back up 2 or 3 times with a screwdriver. It was really quite laughable considering they give themselves a self-proclaimed 5 stars. It's illegal to bring any religious or pornographic material into North Korea. I accidentally left some on my phone, but it was in a locked app and they didn't find it.
I'll show you this one.
This is Pyongyang International Airport. Our American friend lost her passport, but she found it, luckily. She thought she might not be able to return to the US. This was our first sights of Pyongyang City. They took my passport, so I felt quite on edge. We were going to Yanggakdo Hotel, where Otto, the university student from America, had been sent to prison camp the year before.
Pretty beautiful. It's a morning sunrise. They're going into their, deepest parts of their mind almost.
Day 1, we woke up early and headed to the Grand Monument, where we had to pay respects to the dear leaders. When we got off the bus, we were told to buy flowers for €5. This was an extremely special day on the North Korean calendar, and we had to pay respects properly to the leaders before the tour continued. Our tour guide, Mr. Kim, was telling us various things about the history of the country. This is the People's University. Only the richest of society can go here. They have foreign lecturers that teach a variety of subjects.
We're at the Moonsoo Day. It's one of the most important places in Korea, and here on the right is one of the sculptures of the revolution. I think this is the Juche one, so you can see them revolting and getting together. Don't know if you can see that. And the front here is a man holding the book of Juche. Yeah, this represents other countries. I'm assuming Russia, China, assuming Cambodia and Vietnam as well. And there is the book of Marx.
Next, we headed to the station to ride the Pyongyang metro train.
And you can see how it shows you around too. It's not bad. And the green here actually says where are you going? It's kind of cute.
As you can see for yourself, the technology is extremely outdated.
There's the card readers for the locals.
The Pyongyang metro station is the deepest in the world at 105.5 meters deep. It doubles as a bomb shelter in case of war. They estimate around 100,000 people ride the Pyongyang metro system every day to get to work. Here is some of the people we saw. Keep in mind, the people you're seeing are the wealthy influential of society. They work in government jobs in Pyongyang capital city.
Wow, that was 3 minutes, pretty much.
They've designed the chandeliers to look like fireworks.
Oh, wow. 3, 2, 1.
The structure was really quite impressive. I was surprised by how deep it actually was.
Made in West Berlin in the 1990s.
We were allowed to freely walk around the station and mingle with the North Korean people who were commuting to work. There was newspapers for the locals to read. There was also a huge gold statue to commemorate the construction of the station.
So on the metro.
We rode for a few stops with the local people. They all stared at us. We were quite lucky because before this, foreigners were strictly prohibited from riding on the metro. When we left the station, we were greeted by little stores, a capitalist-like incentive for local businesses to grow. They were selling ice creams and snacks and other things. Next, we were taken to Juche Tower. The Juche ideology was written by Kim Il-sung, and it means self-reliance, the self-reliance to construct a totally socialist nation. Here is some plaques to indicate the people who have supported Juche over the years and given money to the construction of the tower.
Still one more night.
And it is from International Institute of Society. It was formed in Japan in 1978, April 9th.
That's right, despite huge tensions between Japan and North Korea, there are study groups and supporters of Juche. We took the elevator to the top of the Juche Tower, where we could see a beautiful view of Pyongyang city. The city is painted in these pastel colours and is quite vibrant to the eye. Next, we were taken to the Monument to Party Founding. It celebrates 50 years of the anniversary of the Workers' Party of Korea. It's 50 meters high and it has the hammer, sickle and calligraphy brush to symbolise the workers, farmers and intellects. All of us couldn't help but notice from the base of the statue, the calligraphy brush in hand looks quite erotic. Then we went to the Korean War Museum. Here they have many artifacts from the Korean War. They also have some military equipment left behind by American soldiers once they pushed the boundary back to Seoul.
Pretty great here. A lot of monuments. Huge. Looks like it goes for miles.
This is the Uss Pueblo. It was an environmental research ship attached to the US Navy, and it was attacked and captured by North Korean forces on January 23rd, 1968. One of the 83 crew members was murdered, and the other crew members were held in captivity and forced to sign a surrender.
Surrender the crew? Oh, you take a video? Yeah.
There was some war relics such as tanks and planes left behind by the American soldiers.
We're currently travelling through the DMZ. South Korea is literally past those bushes. In the membrane. In the membrane. Insane in the membrane. Whoa. Hey guys, let's check it out. Here we are.
It is written the name of the President Kim Il-sung and the date that he signed. This monument to memorize forever about the express of our President Kim Il-sung, who devoted all his energies for the country's reunification, to hand down our unified countries to the coming generations.
Yeah, I had no reception. Well, the soldiers look really cool. No, they do. They're badass.
You can see the line, the 14, the 7 buildings is a military demarcation line.
신세계 대체검으로 우리 측이 푸른색 세체검으로 미군 측이 짓고가려 합니다.
It was at this point we were given a guided tour by a Korean soldier. He told us the history of the Korean Armistice agreement between the UN and the North Korean government. He made a very controversial statement when he said that there would be no surrender and that North Korea would crush America. Many people listening gasped and were shocked by the statement.
2 flags of the UN. It's faded because they left it behind. And the armistice written in English. And over here is the armistice written in Korean.
I got to sit at the actual table where they had talks and agreements on the Korean armistice. I shook hands with some of the Korean soldiers. Some were more friendly than others, as you can see here. For lunch, we tried traditional Korean food with dog soup. We were taken to a theme park where local Korean people could let off steam and have fun on various rides.
So we're all here at Kim Il-sung Square right now. We're just witnessing at least 1,000 or more students practicing and rehearsing for Victory Day. Is Tiananmen Square biggest or this is bigger? Second biggest.
We went to see the Victory Day March. It's held on July 27th and it's also known as the Day of Victory in the Great Fatherland Liberation War. Many university students gather and practice relentlessly for the march through Pyongyang city.
Yeah, awkward at the same time. Yeah, I know, right? Jesus, this is surreal. This is surreal, right? Yeah.
I think we are the tourist attraction.
Yeah. They like march this way across the road. I think maybe. This is pretty cool. Dang. When you're on the DMZ, you can get selfies.
The students are singing a song called The March to Mount Paektu. Mount Paektu is described by the Korean Constitution, Article 169, as the sacred mountain of the revolution. Kim Jong-il is also said to have been born here, but more recent reports show that he was born more likely in Soviet Union Russia. Their voices were deafening, and it pierced my ears to the point of pain. We then had the chance to go dance with local people on Morangbang Hill. These old ladies were very friendly, but their taste in music was a little outdated with disco tunes.
What's this, Josh? This is the mass dance.
This was one of the most incredible experiences of my life. I joined in the mass dances to celebrate Victory Day. I got to hold hands and dance with local Korean women. Overall, I had 3 dancing partners. 2 of the women were very happy to dance with foreign men and were literally blushing. The other one was a little bit annoyed. This is the Mangyongdae School Children's Palace. It's an extracurricular centre, the largest in the DPRK, for school children to hone their skills in certain arts and crafts.
Kim. Miss Kim would be fine.
Gold Kim. Gold Kim.
Gold Kim?
No, miss.
What does that mean?
Not yet.
What does that mean?
Gold, G-I-R-L.
Doing gorgeous.
The interior was really colourful and kind of looked like a circus where they might show off their kids' skills.
This is the calligraphy room. You can.
Although we were in a rush, we were granted some special access to children's classrooms. This classroom is the Embroidery Classroom. The work was so impressive that it was kind of hard to believe that they'd done some of this work themselves.
Look at that. What?
We are now prepared to see the talent show that the kids had prepared.
Children's performance.
These are some very special students. They live and study in Japan, but they're North Korean. They study in schools that were set up after World War II by Koreans who came to Japan during its 35-year occupation of Korea and stayed because of instability of the Korean War and deterred them from returning. Japan now has about 70 such schools across the country and about 8,000 or so North Korean students who live in Japan full time. These students have special privileges. We saw them using iPhones and using apps such as Line and WhatsApp. Normal Korean students would not be allowed access to such freedoms. This big picture came up of Kim Il-sung and just reminded me of what a strange cult-like country I was in. This is the Pyongyang Circus. They have lots of awards and they also have a Guinness World Record for the most spins on a flying trapeze.
Numbers 20 is at 2 is actually a 1.
We found our seats and eagerly awaited the show. The show was mostly made up of human acrobatics. Unfortunately, at one point they made a mistake, and at that point they told everyone to turn off their cameras. Everyone was weirded out by the monkey show, and also they had a drama where an American soldier kept dropping his grenade, and they made fun of the US military.
We're now in the Korean Film Theatre, which is the largest in Asia by area. Still think that's the case. Not sure anymore. It's the case, well, 20 years ago. So.
Welcome to the North Korea Film Propaganda Studio. Kim Jong-il was a huge cinephile and had a collection between 20 and 30,000 DVDs and movies. Some American soldiers that deserted across the DMZ after the Korean War have starred in these films in such roles as evil capitalist villain. Some of you that know about film history will know that the Soviet Union realised how powerful a tool film is for political ideology. Famous directors such as Sergei Eisenstein made political propaganda movies for the Soviet Union. Here we can see them editing Korean movies. In the sound booth, this voice actress kept messing up her lines and we were shooed out. Welcome to the film sets.
Kalpis! Hey.
We were able to try on some outfits from historical dramas.
This is my tour guide giving me a lift.
Where you going, mate?
We were now heading to Rongmun Cavern, a cave structure that's deep within the North Korean countryside. On the cave walls had formed these ancient mineral crystals. The tour guide told us not to touch these, and if we did, we'd become infertile. I accidentally slipped and pricked my finger on one of these crystals, but the tour guide took me aside and reassured me that this was just a myth and that I shouldn't worry.
You know, this is the special water. So in Korean, Cheongsang water.
I paired up with my American friend and we drank from the fountain 3 times. They told us that this would help us conceive a baby. Unfortunately, we weren't married. This is the mausoleum of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il. Their bodies were sent to Russia for a special preservation process. This building cost an enormous amount to construct and is full of treasures. This is the newly built Moonsoo water park. I rented some shorts, and when I walked around with my tattoo showing, I got a lot of looks from the locals. I also did a front flip from one of the high diving boards. When I emerged from the water, I had a round of applause from the local Korean people. I realised on my travels that North Korean people love to have fun. The ones that are lucky enough to have connection with foreign people use them as a release, as an escape from their daily lives. The dictatorship tries to put all people into a cookie cutter to deter people from repudiating the rules of North Korean society. But from the human connections I had with North Korean people, I realised the human spirit always yearns for freedom. The North Korean people are gradually gaining wider access to information thanks to USBs with copies of Wikipedia and South Korean drama DVDs coming over the border. They may know more than you think. And the wheels of change are in motion.
I'm recording. This is Mr. Lee. Hyungning. Yeah, it's a video. We're at the Pyongyang International Airport. And this is Miss Kim. Zoom in on your face. Hey. Very nice.
Look what he did.
I'll leave you with this one last story. My tour guide, Mr. Kim, took us to this road, the Reunification Highway. It connects Pyongyang to the joint security area at the DMZ. There are road signs to Seoul, South Korea along the way. It's 170 kilometers long and it's maintained thoroughly in hopes one day there will be peace and both sides will walk together down the road and meet again. We sat by the statue and he asked me, "Look at the statue. Which person is South Korean and which is North Korean?" I answered, "They're both Korean." He was surprised by my answer and said I was wise. The Korean people do not want to kill their brothers and sisters across the border. They want to find peace and be one united Korea again.